it sounded like he had a grudge against somebody saying, F Jalen Green. So, if we're gonna allow, this type of people to vote, on these awards, like that's not fair.
I don't think the game's
Welcome into Triple Zero. It's the anti-hot take sports show. I'm your host, Josh Buckhalter. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at JoshGBuck. Hit up the Facebook page, Clocker Sports, website, clockersports.com, and the email address is clockersports@gmail.com. That was the voice of Philadelphia 76ers superstar Joel Embiid talking about the situation in voting in the NBA. But what you heard wasn't all that was really being discussed. Even in that one bite there, I know what he said, but there was some double meaning, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. Before we get into all that, though, we have to talk about the games that are taking place. The Philadelphia 76ers are looking kind of shicey. Memphis looking kind of shicey. So before we get into that, before we get into the awards talk, let's get into this game talk. So Wednesday night, this is a special recording that we're bringing because we have not been communicating very well. So to remedy that, got a quick update. Nothing long. Going to hit it, quit it, get up out of here. The The Memphis Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors are just tipping off as this is being recorded. So currently it is a 10-7 game. Memphis with Ja Morant, 13-7, with Ja Morant sidelined indefinitely. I guess is the best way to put it because he's not expected to return in the playoffs. After experiencing getting they try to say that it was because Jordan Poole pulled his knee. I'm not going for that, so we're not even going to get into it because that little pull might have. Taylor Jenkins was very specific in saying that it triggered his knee injury. Didn't say he caused it. Said it triggered it. The cause was probably the wild closeout. But if you say that was the cause, then it sounds like whatever because the code and all that kind of stuff. Listen, I told somebody that I feel like Golden State could come in this lackadaisically, and I can see Memphis, just playing their hearts out and getting one. But 3-1 is a pretty insurmountable lead in league history, so we'll see how that goes for them. Boston fell to the Milwaukee Bucks on a spectacular couple of ending sequences from Jrue Holiday. Got a steal, got a block, just made some really heady plays after blowing a layup that could have really ended the game for them. So Milwaukee now takes that series 3-2, and they have another game coming up here to try to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals for the third year in a row? For another year to try to get their second title in a row for sure, for a crack at it because they still have to go to the West. Whatever. I'm getting sidetracked here. The point is, these series are getting kind of decided. Now they said that I think it was 83%. It was low to mid 80s on the team that wins Game 5, winning the next game, winning the series. So it bodes well for Milwaukee for sure. Not so well for Boston. Again, on the Warriors side, they're up 3-1. I know that, like I said, I could see Memphis getting a game here, but the multiple tries is really a big deal. Kind of like we talked about with the play-in tournament. So while I admire Memphis's grit, this was my dark horse team, this is about where I had it going for them, right? This is the second round, you know what I'm saying? You about ready to go. It's about that time. Golden State is a team that I think is a championship contender in this environment, but I think they are very thin because I feel like they need a lot of stuff to be working right. They need the piece to be in place this way, that way. They're not really an overcome. But, they've been doing with a lot of injuries throughout the years, and they got the championship medal that not many teams that are left can boast. So I can't completely write them off. What I will say is that the Western Conference Finals matchup between them and the Phoenix Suns is going to be great. So if you can read into that what you want to, but the matchup between them and the Phoenix Suns is going to be great in the Western Conference Finals. And that is no slight to Luka Doncic. That's a slight to the Dallas Mavericks. And I'm not the biggest Luka fan. I think Luka's great. Not a big Luka fan. I'm not sure his style is conducive to winning all the time, but I also understand why his style comes about. So I love to get back and forth with people though I am the ruffle feathers person. Are you? Oh, this guy's great, huh? What about when he does this? Oh, okay. I love that. That's great. That's good stuff. So I do fully expect Phoenix to win that series. I expect Golden State to move on here. Boston and Milwaukee, I was kind of up in the air on this one. I said Milwaukee rather, because you can't beat the champ until you beat the champ. So, I'm riding with Milwaukee as my pick. And then over in the other matchup that we're going to talk about right now, Philadelphia 76ers to the Miami Heat. The Heat took a 3-2 lead in that series with a 120-85 win over Philadelphia. And after that game, Joel Embiid talked about how they came out, kind of not playing, not locked in, not focused. And you got a lot of conversation from the TNT broadcast, point blank, saying that he was distracted by the loss of the MVP award to Nikola Jokic. And to that I say, well, if this is the outcome of that, then he didn't deserve it in the first place. I also say that this is the outcome of your game, you probably don't deserve it. But they're doing a lot of talking about how Jokic is at home and got bounced in the Western Conference, even though his team is not, even with a hobbled or whatever you want to call him, a dwindled efficiency, a dwindled effectiveness, James Harden. Right, it's more than what Jokic is working with, and I'm not here for people saying that you're using stats to do it. No, I seen him. I watched my man go out here and keep that team afloat by himself. We can talk about how inconsistent they are, but Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey have proven to be decent players in this league. Right? What are you getting over in Denver? Aaron Gordon, who is a defensive guy, first and foremost, right? Will Barton, Bones Highland's a rookie. I know that we have preferences. I get that. But maybe it's the outrage. Because I understand how people would want to vote for Embiid, and I wouldn't be mad if he did. But to say that he was robbed and that Jokic was robbed, come on now. And then you got Embiid talking about, votes and stuff and how that matters. And I can't, in that game, the MVP, Embiid, the Philadelphia is calling him the MVP. He finished with 17 points and 5 rebounds. Now, he's dealing with an orbital fracture, just got out of concussion protocol, got a finger injury, tweaked his back. That's part of it, though. I've always said, it's funny when we talk about abilities, but then when you talk about health, it becomes a wishy-washy, does it count? Maybe it does, it does not. Depends on who we're talking about. It counts. It's always been a knock against Embiid. It's always been this kind of, and then he went on the public campaign, and that's where we get to the video that we'll get to right now before we get into the rest of the show, because I just don't want to keep you hanging anymore. Because this one's a wild kind of take, because it's not wrong, but at the same time, I feel like it probably could have gone a little bit better. And we'll just play it right here.
Until I don't know how to explain it, but I go back to what I saw. Or what I heard on the podcast about, Bill Simmons basically saying, it sounded like he had a grudge against somebody saying, F Jalen Green. So, if we're going to allow, this type of people to vote, on these awards, that's not fair. What if Jalen Green was, in a position to earn a Supermax or I don't know, or an all-star appearance, and you got someone signing like that, and he has a lot of power. He can sway a lot of other media members, and you got someone saying those type of stuff. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's okay. So that's really the only thing I say about those awards.
That's not the only thing that he said about those awards. He said that's what he said there. He also said that while he, obviously Jokic deserves it, but then he went back to the whole there's a narrative out against him and the media bias and all this, that, and the third. Listen, I'm not a guy who begrudges people for feeling like they got slighted a little bit. It happens. We're human nature, whatever, that, and the third. But the voting that came out showed quite the disparity, with Jokic nearly doubling what Embiid's output was. I don't know that we can necessarily say that it was close. I can't think that, and he's known for weeks. So when the broadcast talking about, hey, Embiid is distracted, that's BS. With Embiid talking about he's, there's a narrative against him. Well, if there is, you did not help it, because it's more than double. I'm sorry. 65 first place votes for Nikola Jokic, 26 for Joel Embiid. 9 for the reigning MVP, or I'm sorry, for the two-time MVP and reigning Finals MVP in Giannis Antetokounmpo. So if there's a bias against somebody, right? I'm not sure that it's as close as even his supporters wanted it to be. And I know that Embiid talked about the media narrative, but the narrative that I saw was a lot of people talking about how it's Embiid. because of reasons. And I'm not here to talk about their reasons or whatever. I'm just saying that both of these guys are probably deserving of the award. It sucks that one of them could not get recognized similarly, but that does not mean the other guys got to be slandered. Like, holy crap, man, we got to chill. And again, I'm not even a Joker fan, but and maybe there is some of the rust factory, right? When you do something that's not been done in history or whatever. The first time, 2000, what was it? 10,000, 5,000, 2,000, something like that. Points, rebounds, and assists. It's pretty good stuff. Like it's not like you can. It hasn't happened before, so we're not just seeing some run of the mill occurrence. I get it. I get wanting there. I get thinking that there would be a narrative base behind it. And there's recently a graphic put out, I think for 538, talking about if Vorp had decided it, and it would have given LeBron the award 9 times. He's got 4. Like, there'd be change if we went by stats. There'd be if the analytics really did it. So I don't subscribe to the theory that Jokic didn't deserve it for the 2,000 points, 2,000 points, 1,000 boards, 500 assists. He deserves all the credit in the world, and he deserves the MVP award. That is what it is. Whether you feel like Embiid does or not, that is what it is. All right, let's get around to some other stuff in the NBA. Talking about the Chicago Bulls at risk of losing Zach LaVine. This was a non-story. Wasn't even going to address it, but Brian Windhorst keeps talking about. First we had San Antonio talk about. I don't think it was Windhorst who broke that one, but somebody else talked about the San Antonio Spurs could be an option for LaVine. Brian Windhorst comes out talking about Portland is close to home and they could make up some money and signing trades and this, that, and the third. We hear about the Bulls might want Anthony Simons back in that deal. LA is also Zach's home because of UCLA, and he trains there in the offseason. That's where he went to go get his doctor, his knee looked at. Like, there's a lot of links to Zach out of town. San Antonio has Coach Pop, who helped Zach get an Olympic gold medal in the Olympics, this most recent Olympics. And so there's a lot of connections to him elsewhere. And not as many as you would think here, outside of having been here. And so I get why there's a lot of indecision. But he said that his main goal was for him and his family. That's a lot of money to be leaving. It's $210. I think it drops down to like $170 something if he doesn't sign with Chicago. That's a lot of money to leave on the table. Generational type money. Even just one of those, like, I get it. It's the extra year. Maybe he doesn't want to do the long deal. Maybe he wants to go somewhere else and he feels like they have a better shot at doing it. I fail to see how there could be such a big disparity between what's really on the table, what's an actual likely possibility, and that the Bulls offer him the max deal, versus one of these other teams that have some tangible connections but can't offer the actual tangible, proven, hey, this group works. We got to make some tweaks, but it works. Right? We can give you more money than everybody else. That's it. Those are the top 2 things. Top 2 things. Fit and finances. Bulls can match both of them better than anybody else. So I just don't see it. If it happens, I'd be stunned. You can't say it's not, never say never, right? But I'd be really shocked. The Atlanta Hawks are mired in tons of trade rumors. John Collins has been back up. I covered a lot of them for Soaring Down South. You got to check that out because it's just been crazy how many suggestions there have been for Collins, which goes to show that despite some disdain for his maybe lack of a defined skill set, defined role, even that he doesn't like all the time, he's very valuable and very much desired around the league. So there's been quite a few suggestions. One of them I think involved trading Collins for who did they trade him for? You got to check it out, Soaring Down South. That's what you call a tease. No, I just forgot. There was that many. No, it's seriously been quite a lot of deals, mentioning Collins, mentioning Kevin Huerter. Ben Simmons has been brought back up, which is one that I think might actually end up occurring because that's been too much smoke for about 2 years now. And so every time we look at what comes out about the Hawks, you have to decipher, would they do it, would they not? Donovan Mitchell has been the newest one. And let me just say this about Donovan Mitchell. I love Donovan Mitchell as a player. I'm not putting him next to Trae Young in the backcourt. And it's not to say that Donovan Mitchell can't be a good defender, but Donovan Mitchell is a limited defender, even at his best. His size just determines that he's not going to be the best defender, the most versatile defender. Let me put it that way. He's limited to guards and smaller guards at that. And Young is limited to nobody. Like, he's not a great defender right now. And maybe that'll change. Maybe he comes back and he's got a better intention on reading passing lanes and coming away with steals. Maybe he's just more of a pest on the ball, whatever the case may be. That's not a good backcourt mixture for me. So I just don't want to see it. That's all I've been trying to tell people all the time. They don't want to hear me. I saw one college for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That one I would like. Trae and Shai, I think, would be a good backcourt together because they can both play off the ball. Shai can play some defense. He's a bigger guard at 6'6". He can run the offense when Trae's out on the floor, and I just think that's kind of exactly what they need. The other one was, again, Ben Simmons, also getting Cam Johnson. I think Cam Johnson's really a bigger steal in that than people want to admit in that proposal because that instant offense factor, that drive factor, the Hawks don't have enough of that. Enough guys who can get into the paint and make the defense pay, collapse the defense more than anything, but make them pay when they get there too. And we just don't see enough of that on this roster. That would be a big one for them. But the trade rumors are going to be heavy for this team because they did not end the season well. They had an inconsistent season all year long, and so that's what happens. This is the kind of chat that you get around it. The Los Angeles Lakers have seen their owner, Jeanie Buss, draw some lines in the sand. There's been talk all offseason about pointing fingers between LeBron and Anthony Davis, pushing for Russell Westbrook, blaming Russell Westbrook, blaming Frank Vogel for not getting Russell Westbrook ingrained, all types of stuff. And it just seems like, and I heard this is not my idea, but I heard it put in there. I agree that there's too many voices, too many cooks in the kitchen there. Jeanie is a person who decides for herself, but has input from a lot of different outside sources. And that's not to say that that's unique, but it sounds like, from what we hear from all outside reports, that there is maybe too heavy of an influence from those voices, and that's kind of her holding them back, maybe holding her back some against her better judgment. So we'll see what kind of changes they make in the offseason to that kind of structure and that process. But right now, it just does not seem like it's a happy-go-lucky situation, despite just winning a championship 2 seasons ago, because last year was Milwaukee. Anyway, Kyrie has come back up to LA possibly. Now, here's the thing about it. It's been to both teams, and I would love to see Kyrie go to LA to the Clippers. Not to say that he wouldn't do well with the Lakers. I understand why they want to get him. That makes Kyrie and AD might actually be something to watch because neither one of them would stay healthy for more than a handful of games at a time. But it would also be a thrilling pairing, just their skill sets. I want to see Kyrie in LA with Kawhi. I've wanted to see that for years, and it just never came to fruition because of reasons. Kyrie wanted to be in Brooklyn with KD. Kawhi wanted to be in LA, and then backdoored Russ to go and get Paul George, and so it never came to fruition. But I definitely would love to see that because I just feel like they complement each other well. Kawhi, the quiet defensive ace, Kyrie, the mercurial, outspoken offensive dynamo. Like it's a perfect match. And then Paul George fits in there, like kind of in between. It's really a good fit for all three. It probably won't happen because all the best ones never happen. The best deals never occur. We always get the clunky fits in the eyes. They were all like, we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, though, this one actually does occur. Switching gears. Starting off locally, the Chicago Bears are struggling to change perceptions. I wrote about this for Last Word of Pro Football. The Bears have dealt with Fields being called out, quote unquote, by multiple people, including ESPN's Dan Orlovsky, for Fields' lack of weapons and not addressing the offense more this offseason. They've gotten more blowback because Larry Ogunjobi is visiting with the Jets now, and his former teammate DJ Reader came out saying that they very cryptic in what he said. He didn't really blame the Bears, but it definitely made it sound like the Bears were at fault for not doing Ogunjobi right. I disagree. And A-Rob sent out a tweet talking about Zach LaVine, and it would be a nice fit to see him in LA or what did he say, San Antonio or Portland? Portland and somebody, either LA or San Antonio. I can't remember which. Not important because he's no longer here, Allen Robinson. You're now Los Angeles Rams. Stay out of Chicago business. You stay out of Chicago business, Allen Robinson. We don't need that. We do not need that mess. Okay? And then you got Tariq Cohen sharing that heartfelt message in the Players Tribune about his battle the past couple of seasons as he's dealt with injury and mental struggles as well. So there's a lot going on. And, of course, being that it's Bears, it's all just coming back as same old Bears. Same old Bears. And I think that's wholly unfair to Ryan Pace and Matt Eberflus. Do I think that they've done a great job? I don't know. Do I agree with everything that they've done? Definitely not. There's other things that I think that they could have done better or differently completely. Totally. Am I passing judgment yet? Haven't seen day one. Haven't seen down one, snap one, minute one of football from this group yet. What I will say is that if there is not a better plan for Justin Fields, we can talk about the weapons all we want to, but we've seen quarterbacks succeed with lackluster weapons. We've seen quarterbacks with great weapons struggle. So I'm not going to base it solely off of that. But I will say, if I don't see, and it sounds so self-aggrandizing, if I don't see them have a clear plan, of attack with Fields that seems to be suited for his strengths, then it's going to be pointless, and he's definitely not going to succeed. Because no one can. But stuff like Orlovsky putting him in tier 9, like he specifically called out Justin Fields. He knows it's going to get him attention. Orlovsky's become a bit of a hot take artist, something that we're here to do away with. And so I don't put too much stock in all the outside notes, but I wrote about it for Last Word on Pro Football, and it's just that all these things are perceived to be worse than they are. Feels like a weapons. Okay, well, you got him a guy that he wanted in the draft with the capital that you had because you didn't want to give up more to secure somebody else right now. Especially when next season you're going to have cap space to go land a great veteran if you want to. You're going to have a high draft because you're probably going to be bad this year to land another one that he can grow with, right? There's no reason to rush the process, which is something that Poles has said he would not do, rush the process, since he got hired. So I can't be upset when they're sticking to your plan. You're the pick of the receiver, Velus Jones, 71st overall pick. I didn't like it. I wanted a guard there. I had mocked a guard there. It's not because of my mock, but because I felt like they needed a guard there. They didn't take one. But Justin Fields wanted that receiver. He approved of that receiver. What am I going to say to that? All right, well, you got to push on. You just got to push on. And so it doesn't seem like a great offseason because there's not a lot of activity, but Chicago Bears fans should have gotten used to seeing a lot of activity not yield a lot of fruit. So don't be hung up on that. Let it play out. Understand this is going to be a development year. Just be looking out for signs of growth in certain areas more than actual results to come on the field. Ryan Tannehill, going back to one that's about a week or so old now. Tannehill talked about he wouldn't tutor Malik Willis, rookie Titans quarterback. Listen, Ryan Tannehill, the reason why he's there is because they probably don't want you to really tutor him. Listen, Tannehill has played above his head for the past few years. I've been a guy who was big on not paying Ryan Tannehill before they paid Derrick Henry. Then they paid Derrick Henry. I was like, wow, you paid Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill. That's just bad football. And then this offseason during the draft, they traded A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles. And now I'm really worried about the Tennessee Titans ceiling. But that don't mean that Ryan Tannehill should be eating sour grapes. You don't have to hand him your job, sir. But any good teammate would show his teammate the ropes, how to be a pro, right? You don't got to teach him the tricks that you put up, but like just some things to get ready. Show him how you study film. Like he's 30 something. Ryan Tannehill's not even a young dude, and there's gonna be a team that'll take a gamble on him when he gets cut, because he get cut, especially when you talk like that. That's a bit crazy. Now he said he learned something fine. That's great, and he's right. It's not his obligation to. It's not his obligation to. However, as the quarterback, you are looked to be a beacon of leadership, and this, sir, is not that. Point blank, period. Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray are both dealing with contract disputes with their respective teams. Lamar does not have an agent. Kyler Murray does not have anybody on his side, it seems. And so I don't know if any one of these are going to get resolved anytime soon. We could see a franchise tag in one or both of these guys' futures, but I do think that they ultimately both need to get done because neither one of these franchises want to go back to that well trying to find one of those guys. I've seen it. Doesn't work. Typically takes a longer time than you anticipate. And even then, you can have to reset multiple times before you finally get it right. So don't do it. Pay those guys. That's going to do it for this episode of Triple Zeros. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at JoshyBuck. Hit up the Facebook page, Clocker Sports, website, clockersports.com. Email address is clockersports@gmail.com. And, of course, follow the show on Facebook and Twitter at 30pod. That's the number 3 zeros and pod. Read the stuff, man. Heavy. Last Word on Pro Football. Soaring Down South. And, of course, Clocker Sports. Until the very next time, you already know what it is, man. I'm gone.
I don't know how to explain it, but I go back to what I saw